Good morning. It's Monday morning. We're back at the farm. We've got some beautiful weather this week, unlike last week where it rained every day. This week looks to be outstanding. So we've got a lot of things going on this week. Primary number one objective is to get a bunch of fungicide sprayed. I'm really hoping the corn's going to get done here Wednesday, maybe tomorrow, Tuesday, Wednesday, something like that. But we'll see. I haven't talked to the guy that's doing that yet. We're also going to start scouting beans to try and spray our beans with some fungicide. I don't know if they're all going to be ready this week, but we're going to get started and try. I see the straw guys got some hay on the ground just down the road here, so I don't know if they'll be baling straw this week. I suppose once they can get to it, but things are still pretty wet, so it might be a little while. You remember that hay wagon that Brock wanted to use? Oh, Dad's got her all fixed up. Look at this. Look at this. New sideboards. He built this whole new rack. Got her all painted up, put new board on the back, new pockets for the rack to get held down. He covered the hole up and welded it shut. He even put new board on the front and a step. Look at that. He put a step on it. Pretty sweet. It's worth 4 times as much as it was 2 weeks ago. All right, I gotta run down to my seed warehouse stuff for a minute here. I thought they were gonna be working on it today. The framers told me they were coming back to put windows in, but I haven't seen them down there, so we'll see if they're there or not. Problem with cornfield between us is I can't see what's going on. I also spent a little bit of time this morning going through my seed business accounts one last time, mostly the ones with double crop stuff that changed since the last time I did it, just to make sure everything is straight and square because it's time to get those settlements done. I'm hoping to get a truck for my empty box returns this week. That would be good. And then we'll wrap up the 21 crop year and start thinking about 22 sales season here real fast. Yeah, nobody here working, but check it out. They got all the shingles on the roof on Friday. Looks real good. Oh yeah, my trailer's still hooked up. We're done with that, so that can be unhooked. When Brock gets here, we'll fold down these rest of these boxes, and I got some cleaning up I need to do. All those paper bags can be burnt, and I got a couple cardboard boxes and some stuff over there that we gotta just clean up in here a little bit. It's that time of year when my seed warehouse is relatively empty. I know a few times you guys have commented about storing equipment and stuff in here. There's a brief period of time when we could actually store equipment in this seed warehouse, and I'm not completely opposed to it. It's just that, you know, in a month I'm going to have wheat coming in, and I'm going to be treating wheat, and stuff's going to be in the way if we pack this full of equipment. So there's not enough of a window to really justify it. If I get a chance, I should put the drone up in the next day or two. You can really see the maturity differences in our corn plot. The early varieties, earlier maturing stuff on the far end there are all pollinating, or they're tasseled out. The mid stuff is just poking some tassels, and the full season 113-day stuff is not really tasseling yet, or there's just a couple here and there. So it really shows up right now. I do want to look at these beans here real quick. It's pretty wet, so I'm not going to walk out there, but I want to stage them a little bit. The other thing it would appear that I need to do when I spray fungicide is put some clethodim in to kill off this volunteer corn. Dad did not get the job done when he was spraying beans a month ago, so I'm going to try and clean it up. So here's one of our earliest entries in the bean plot, a 2.2 maturity, flowered from top to bottom. They look really good, and if you look right there, you can kind of see some little teeny tiny pods forming. Those are very close to R3. R3 growth stage is when the beans have a pod that is 3/16 of an inch long on any of the 4 uppermost nodes. So that's what we're looking for. Brock is coming here in a little bit. Dad's got some projects for him, including greasing that wagon that probably hasn't been greased in, I don't know, 20, 30 years. So I'm gonna let him work on that stuff. Dad wanted to switch the mower, our John Deere batwing mower, from the 4440 over to the 7520 because, yeah, hold on. Sorry, phone call. Anyway, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, switching the mowers. The 4440, the air conditioning doesn't work in it. And Dad's been using it in the mornings, just going out for an hour or two in the mornings and mowing when it's not too bad. But we've got a fair amount of stuff that needs mowed. We have some filter strips or some lanes and stuff that are part of some government programs where they restrict our when we can mow things. In Ohio, our window is July 15th to August 1st. In Michigan, it's August 1st to August 15th. So we're within that window in Ohio, and we need to get some filter strips mowed. So Dad's gonna have Brock get stuff switched around so that we have a tractor with air conditioning, and it's more pleasant for being in the middle of the afternoon for a couple of hours. Grease the mower, just double check everything on that, and then we can get started with those projects. I've got some errands to run, got to make a Rural King trip, and we'll be back this afternoon. I'm back. Check it out. We have some new toys. I needed a new pole saw because we had one, a gas one, and my Uncle Jack got it out like a year or two ago, I guess, and apparently it didn't run or whatever. I don't know. I can't find it now. I've looked around several times for it, and Dad thought that Jack found something wrong with it and must be got rid of it. Whatever. I don't know. It gave me an excuse to go buy a Milwaukee one, which I wanted to do anyway, so sweet. You know what's frustrating? I bought the wrong thing. I needed the pole saw, right? And the pole saw and a string trimmer attachment, they're all the same thing. They have a power head. You can put a string trimmer on it, hedge trimmer, an edger, pole saw. Thought, I'll buy the string trimmer with the power head, and I'll get the attachment for the pole saw. Turns out they also have a string trimmer that's not the power head for the pole saw, and it doesn't come off, detach, whatever. And I bought the wrong trimmer. So pole saw's right. The little extension piece that I got is right, but I don't have the right power unit, so I can't use it. So I guess I'll get to make another Rural King trip in the very near future. Anyway, cleaning up these boxes here. Better. So this pile is Golden Harvests, and I have to send them back. That pile is either the farm's boxes or my boxes that I have bought from Golden Harvest. So I'm gonna take this gooseneck back down to the farm and unhook it because I don't need it anymore. And yeah, let's just get that out of here. Brock cleaned up that pile of empty bags that was over there, but there's some cardboard boxes and stuff here that I had left, so I'm gonna run them back to the burn pile. All right, I got stuff cleaned up. We need to go scout some fields. I'm gonna fill up, or at least partially, we're gonna put 40 gallons in here of some Roundup so we can clean up some edges of some fields while we're out scouting. I know a couple spots around some electric poles that we had to leave some gaps that there's grass coming in and stuff. So once I fill that up, we'll go start scouting a little bit, looking to see, one, what bean fields are ready for fungicide, and two, what fields are dry enough to spray with a fungicide. Well, we'll start right here behind the farm. This is one of those beautiful fields of corn that we've got that I'm gonna have them spray a little bit with some fungicide. This is kind of been some of our better looking corn all along, and so every time I've done some fungicide, foliar feeds, anything that I'm trying to push the corn with, I am spraying this little 15 acres so that I can say I threw everything at one of it and just kind of see what kind of yield we've got on some of our best stuff. You know, I'm hoping for 250 dryland corn out here. I don't know if that's realistic yield goal or not, but that's what we're hoping for. So just wanted to come out and look at the ground conditions. It is not dry on top, not at all, but it's not super soft or sticky. I think he'll be able to drive through this. It might not be great, but by tomorrow afternoon, it'll dry up some more too. You can see all this yellow stuff on these leaves. That's pollen. It's pollinating today. Yep. So let's talk about corn pollination. So obviously we've got the tassels up top. If you see all those little things hanging off of the tassels, let me pull one over here. You can see a little closer. There you go. So all those things hanging off of there, those are the anthers. They are what shed the pollen. And the pollen then falls down onto everything really but the silks. That's what we want. And once a grain of pollen hits a silk, it travels through that silk to each individual kernel on the ear. Each kernel has a silk attached to it. And you can see we've got 2 ears showing silks on this particular plant. This one may pollinate. We may be good enough conditions this year to actually get a second ear on that one. but I doubt it, or at least not on the majority of them. It'll just be this one top ear that is the good one. Yeah, so it is critically important that we have plenty of moisture when we are going through pollination, in order to ensure that there's good pollen shed, that it's viable. And these silks are like 85% water, so if you're dry, the silks don't grow very good, they may not emerge, and you don't get a very good pollination rate on your ears. So I'm going to try something here. I'm going to pick this ear off, and we'll see something. I'm going to take it out of the field because it's no fun being out here, but I'll show you that when we get back to the gator. But before I walk out, I'm looking for some leaf diseases. We do have some. You see this light spots on these leaves? That's some gray leaf spot setting in right there. That's why we're going to spray a fungicide, because we definitely have some disease. So yeah, it's not terrible, but it's not a great thing to see either. So let's protect it, because we have super potential and we have super high prices. So let's get every bushel we can get. All right, so here's our ear that we picked. I'm gonna husk this as carefully as I can once I get into the center of it. Well, as carefully as I can, period. Okay, now as I get to this last husk, the silks, if they are still waiting for pollen, will still be attached to the kernel. If they've already pollinated, they'll fall off, pretty much like that. So you can see here, a bunch of them are still attached to this last husk that I'm pulling off. If I shake this ear, and I get the last little bit off here. So all of these silks just kind of fell off, and those ones are done. They're getting ready to dry up. You can see we've still got a few attached, mostly to the tip here, a couple at the butt of the ear, but everything through the center here is already pollinated. So what that tells me is so far we've done pretty good, but there's still lots of pollen shedding out there. So the rest of this should pollinate. We hope that it does, but it's not quite done. So there's our ear. Looks pretty decent. We can obviously see kernels on there now, individual rows and kernels, and we could potentially do some math and figure out an approximate yield, but it's a little early for that. This particular ear happens to be 16 around. I counted 43 long in the one row. Now, some of those are still working on pollinating, but that's a really good ear if we can finish it and fill it out nice. So the potential is there. If I can get all the pollen off my camera and my phone, we'll come out here and look at our March planted beans. You can see we've definitely been hurt by too much water standing in these end rows. End rows are always going to be the worst because of the compaction issues that we have in end rows. Out in the field, it does not look so bad. And these beans are growing. They look pretty darn good, really. I think my March-April split is over there. These are the April planted beans right here. This is a very early maturing variety for our location, the 2.2 beans, so they should be on the early side for the fungicide application. They were planted the 17th, 18th of March, or of April. We'll get this. March beans are over there, April 18th, I believe it was, here. So you can see we've got a Japanese beetle there. Not too bad of holes in the leaves though, or feeding. There we've got another one and a stink bug. Yep. So we'll look, let me pull a plant. There's an individual plant, quite a taproot on it, lots of nodules on there. Those nodules, again, these little balls or bubbles or whatever you want to call them, not nodes, nodules that are on the roots, those are formed by the bradyrhizobia, the bacteria that basically they fix nitrogen out of the atmosphere, out of the air, and supply it to our soybean plant, which is why we do not put nitrogen on soybeans. You can see we've got some small pods forming on the lower nodes, and what we're looking for is to come up here and find the first fully expanded trifoliate, which would be this one right here. Find that node, consider that one the top, and then in the top four, so 1, 2, 3, 4, we're looking for a bean that is at least 3/16 of an inch long, a pod. Clearly, we've got one right there. This is an R3 bean. Time to go on the fungicide. Right here is our planting date, variety split, and I can't tell you exactly if the difference we're seeing, which you probably can't even see much of a difference, is entirely variety or how much planting date plays into it. These beans are taller than the March planted beans, but they look fantastic. We've got great canopy here, and yeah, I'm gonna pull one of these and we'll stage it the same way we just did the 2.2 beans. Roots look great, almost more lateral and root hairs on this one. I broke the tap off, but we've got lots of nodes on nodules on there as well. Looks to be more branching on this bean. A lot of these lower nodes have branches coming off of them. Pods are setting, maybe a little bit behind that other one actually, but we expect that being, these are 3.1 maturity, so there's a big maturity difference. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're looking at this node for a 3/16 inch long pod. Not quite. Close, but not quite. Got to go down a couple nodes farther to get to a pod that's about the right size. Definitely down here, but that's quite a bit lower. So really these March beans could use another few days or a week maybe. Realistically, they're all going to get sprayed at the same time. So do I wait a few days to let the March beans catch up to the April beans and they're a little closer? Maybe, probably, I don't know. Just walking out here, the ground feels plenty firm. We could spray this now if we needed to. We're going to splash through some water at some point while we're spraying, but we aren't going to get stuck. I'm in the way. Brock's trying to get to the burn pile, helping Dad clean up a little bit. All right, well, here's the next spot. We're gonna look at some beans. We've actually got two fields here, one over there and one over here. So I'm gonna walk out here past this little pocket that got hurt by too much water. These are a 3.1 maturity, same as what those March beans were, but these were planted in April. So we're gonna take a look and see where they're at maturity-wise, and then I'm honestly not sure what's in that field maturity, but I think they're early. They may be a 2.5 over there because that one's going to wheat this fall. Nice, tall, even, beautiful beans. Beautiful. We got flowers. We'll just look at this one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Real close. Real close. Maybe could use the week. About the same as the March ones. Which, as I have told you guys before, beans mature based on daylight length, not heat units. So it makes sense that even though there was a month planting date difference, although March, where they probably came up pretty similarly, they're about the same maturity stage because they are the same maturity. Oh, look at that. Some kind of fuzzy white scary looking caterpillar. All right, so let's see what we got in these beans. Oh yeah, for sure an earlier maturing. In fact, we may be late on these. 1, 2, 3, 4. We've got pods that are well over 3/16. Even this one here, once they get to 3/4 inch long, they're considered R4 beans. We're pushing that. This field needs sprayed first. Next field of beans, I assume this is just like the last one because I'm pretty sure they're the same variety. Take a look. They're not quite as far along, but still in that window of ready to go. There's our pod that's at least 3/16 of an inch. So these are about perfect timing. That's good. You see that cornfield over there? You remember that X9 combine that we saw last week? The guy that bought it farms that farm. Might be combining side by side with an X9 this fall. I doubt it, because these are early maturing beans and that's corn, and he's usually got a lot of beans to run and not going to get to corn while we're combining the beans here, but it's possible. Next field of beans. You can see we've gotten hurt on the ends again with too much water and compaction, but out here in the field they look good. This was actually the last planted field of beans, but they're in early maturing 2.5, so I'm curious to see where we're at growth stage wise. They're a little shorter, definitely don't have quite as much height to them as some of those ones we've been in, so I'm guessing they're a little farther behind. Let's just pull one. Ugh. Yeah, not as significant of a plant here. That's why planting date is important. These ones could wait a week. A lot of flowers, no pods. I know we've got a lot of growing season left, but just looking at that plant, that's rather discouraging here. They don't look so great. Not a lot of nodes, not a lot of branches. Long ways to go. We'll see. Okay, another field here. We're going to check the beans in a minute, but this is one of them spots I was saying we needed to mix up some Roundup. See this little trail of grass? Dad can't fit between the pole and the road with the sprayer, so he always has these little gaps here. So I've got the boom down on the sprayer. We're just going to hit it real quick. But before I do that, we're going to do this. There's some out there. We'll kill these ones. All right. Ooh, look, let's check this field out. This is where we had our drone spraying last week. And we appear to have gotten a really good kill on the ragweed that are out here. See that? It worked. We just need to work on our coverage a little bit, is what I'm seeing. So it definitely killed the ones that are out here. Out here in the center, they're dying dead ragweeds, and it cleaned it up really well. We just missed a bunch along the road, and to be fair, we told him not to mess with these electric poles and stuff, so we can get most of this with just one pass with that little Century sprayer if we need to, or even shooting some with that Gator around. It's a little windy and blowing the wrong direction for me to do it right now, but hopefully sometime this week we can get over here and clean this up a little bit more. But the drone definitely worked, and you can't see, but I can see across the ditch where he sprayed a bunch. Those weeds are dead too, so cool. That's awesome. Well, we've got a couple of fields here we can check. This one's beans. I'll have to check the variety. I'm not really sure. They look good. And they're not quite ready to be sprayed yet. Getting there. Getting close. Actually, those are real close. Those will be ready this week. They look pretty good. Across the road, we've got a cornfield, which I can already tell is time to be sprayed, timing-wise, when the tassels are emerging. So really, our window for fungicide on corn is a little bit wider. We can go anywhere from tassels just starting to emerge, which this would have been just starting to emerge about 5 days ago, up to brown silk. So after the corn is pollinated and those silks detach from the kernels, they start to dry out and they will turn brown. That's kind of your window. It's maybe a 2-week long application window, something like that. Ideally, I think we want it on when the corn is shedding pollen, which we are clearly actively doing. So now is the time. Again, we can see a little bit of gray leaf spot coming in out here on these leaves. It's not terrible right now, but it's the middle of July. It's only going to get worse, and corn's worth over $5, so we're going to spray it, a lot of it. Tomorrow, time is tomorrow. Mostly what I wanted to know out there was if the ground was dry enough. It is. We'll be fine. Oh man, Dad's back to sawmilling. I was wondering why Brock was still here. It's like 5:30. Quarter after. Helping Dad. Got a pretty big one on there. He's got a pile. He said he was going to get back to cutting logs, so that's good. The master at work here. He is quarter sawing elm. It's elm. I think he said he was going to build doors out of it. All right. That is a big chunk of wood. I think it's about the biggest slab he can cut with his sawmill there. He's going to set that one off to the side, and then I think he'll rotate this one and start slicing boards off of it. I think. I'm the guy that doesn't know what I'm doing, so I just stand back out of the way. Nice. That elm's got quite a grain pattern to it with the swirls and stuff in there. Interesting. I don't know. It's not red oak. It's not high quality wood, but it's cool. I think it'll be fine. I don't know. What do you use elm for? Probably firewood, but boards. It'll work. Tomorrow we've got to get this shuttle out and get it all mixed up because we're going to start using that quickly. That's our fungicide that's going on the corn and the beans. We're also going to use up some of that onward there. That's our PGR, plant growth regulator. Foo-foo juice, it's what it is, foo-foo juice. And that lamb cap too there, that's a generic insecticide. We may put some of that in with some beans where we've got some of those Japanese beetles coming in. I am likely to head to Berkey tomorrow morning to look at our crops down there, check those beans. They're early maturing beans, so I expect them to be on the earlier side ready for fungicide. Probably won't head there tomorrow, but maybe on Wednesday. I intend to spray the few fields that I found around here that are ready on the bean side. What I think is the situation right now is any of the early maturing beans, meaning the 2.2s, the 2.5s, and even the 2.8 maturities are basically ready to spray or will be within the next couple of days. The 3.1s, 3.3s, 3.5s, they're not there yet. So we've got time on those and maybe even till next week. So that's good. It spreads out our window a little bit. We don't have to get everything done right away. I am pretty confident that they're going to be here to do the corn tomorrow afternoon. So that's our priority, is helping him and making sure that he's got everything he needs to keep moving once we get on the corn. Hopefully I'll get some sweet video, drone footage of the Haggie spraying tassel corn. We'll see. I'm going to pick a few ears of sweet corn while I'm here to take home tonight. All right, well, that's it for me today. I see that the guys that got wheat out are back in the fields today, combining wheat. I'm so glad we don't have any wheat to do yet. Sounds like the sprout is sort of bad, 6-8% sprout, which they're docking $2.50-ish a bushel for. Like that's a third of the value of the wheat or more. And the test weight is bad. There's another 60 cents. Like they're losing $3, almost half the value of the wheat in dock because of quality issues. That hurts big time. So I feel for these guys, but I'm glad we got ours out. So anyway, fungicide spraying the next couple of days, especially tomorrow, will be a fun one with the Haggie. So check back. If you got any questions and comments, leave them down below, and I will see you guys tomorrow.